We spent over $7,000 on meta ads to promote this song on Spotify, and the results were incredible. Today, I'm going to share with you guys the story of one of the most successful campaigns I've ever run for a client, and I'll share some tips that'll help you take your meta ads to the next level. Not only is it one of the more successful projects that I've run recently, it's also one of the biggest projects, both by budget and duration of time that we ran the campaign for. This particular project, I would describe this song as kind of folk music very loosely, acoustic music. It's a little bit jazzy, a little bit soulful, and this project was backed by the artist management. So they had a very healthy budget to put behind, and they were willing to run the campaign for almost a whole year. I got permission from the management to share all of the data and details of the setup from our campaign, as long as I keep the artist's identity anonymous. So let's dive into it. All right, guys, so I've got the Meta Ads Manager open. The one that we're going to be talking about today is this very bottom one here. And you can see just at a glance, at the high level kind of campaign level, the total amount spent on this campaign was $7,084.72, and that's in US dollars. And across the lifetime of the campaign, we achieved 28,500 hyped it smart link click conversions, and that was at an average of 25 cents per conversion. So by all means, a very healthy campaign, and it spent all of those $7,000 in ad spend very, very effectively. So let's plunge one level deeper into the ad sets. So if you watch my channel already, you know that I set up my ad sets to be oriented around different music interests. So I might have the artist brainstorm some artists, similar genres, similar music interests that we can use to kind of find potential different corners of your audience. And then I'll set up a few different audience options to run in parallel, so we can kind of test and then phase out the audiences that are underperforming, and then maybe introduce some new ones to try out later in the campaign. So over the lifetime of this campaign, we tried out 12 different ad sets. Not all of them were running at the same time. I think we started with maybe 5 or 6 of these ad sets, and then over the many months we were running this campaign, we cycled them in and out. This campaign started on March 1st, 2024, and we ran it all the way until December 1st of the same year. Not necessarily continuously. You'll see that there were some interruptions. The campaign was running for a few months on, a few months off here and there. But big picture, the campaign was probably running for 5 or 6 months altogether in that time window. So as I mentioned before, acoustic music, which actually happened to be the best performing of the audiences that we tried, was just a wide kind of genre umbrella that we marketed the music to, as well as soul music. There's like a folk music ad set, jazz music, and chill out music. So these are kind of the big picture umbrellas. And then we also tried a couple ad sets focusing in on more specific artists. So like Sam Smith and Shawn Mendes was maybe a more pop music oriented one. Steely Dan, John Mayer, Chris Bodie are like, more kind of, I guess, guitar music. Amy Winehouse, Bob Dylan, John Legend, and then, Lake Street Dive. So you can kind of look through all of these options, but the whole point was that each ad set is going to capture a different corner of the potential audience. So you want to group together artists that are similar within an ad set, but artists that are kind of different will go in separate ad sets, so that you're not stepping on the toes of another ad set while you're running. You could see just scrolling through these results, there's a decent spread in performance. So I actually click here to sort by cost per result. So some of these, like very early on, surprisingly, the folk music ad set was like 99 cents per conversion, but barely spent any money, got 2 results. Chill out music was also kind of on the high side. And then if you go all the way down, by the end of the campaign, we were getting into the low to mid 20 cents per conversion, which is a super healthy place for a campaign to be even today in 2025. And that just goes to show that you should be setting up multiple options and testing them and running them in parallel to find out what is working best for you. And in the case of this campaign, the acoustic music ad set got us the most results and a very good cost per result. And it was like almost tied with the Steely Dan ad set. Like, as a matter of fact, like I'd say those are kind of within measurement error. If we want to drill down even one level deeper, let's take a look at the ad creative that we ran for this campaign. So we ran 10 ad clips in total for this campaign. All of these were running in parallel, and each ad set had the same copy of 10 ad videos running underneath it. And in particular, we had 2 sources of video to work with. We had the artist's music video, which was like a professionally produced thing. And we also had a live performance video, which was, it also looked good and was visually appealing, but wasn't quite as polished as the music video. And so we ended up taking 6 clips from the live performance video and 4 from the music video to get 10 in total. And again, you can see there's actually a really big spread in performance between all of the video options that we had to play with here. And in particular, it was live video number 5 that did the best. And then the second one was also another clip from the live performance video. And it's not even close between the two of them. Those had almost all of the results that we saw in this ad set. Very interesting to see that the video that was maybe less produced, less polished, was the one that really engaged with listeners. And I think that kind of speaks to what people are looking for out of this genre. It's not necessarily the very commercial and polished appearance. It's more so these listeners in this kind of musical world are looking for more of an intimate musical experience. They're looking to kind of connect with the artist, even if they've never met in person. They want to have that feeling of being in a small room with them and watching a very intimate performance. So goes back to what I was saying about encouraging you guys to always test different options and challenge your assumptions as to what you think will do best. So what do you get for your $7,000 worth of meta ad spend investment? I flipped over to Spotify for Artists so I can show you the performance of the song before, during, and after our promotion. So this song, over the lifetime that it's been out, so since May 2023, the song has gotten over 500,000 streams, which is super impressive numbers. And I just want to point out that this song, first and foremost, it's a good song that people like. And this artist already had, some form of engagement on the song before we started promoting it. So it was an awesome song before, but the goal of our promotion was to bring this to the very next level. And you can kind of see the time history of when we were running the campaign, when it was active, and when the promotion was not active. So I zoomed into the time window January 1st to December 30th, 2024. Remember, we started on March 1st of that year and ended on December 1st, not necessarily continuously promoting. And if you're looking at the time history of the streams, so you can see, as I mentioned, this song had a decent amount of traction on its own, already had a good following. And the campaign starts somewhere around here and runs for a little bit. And then we actually turned it off during the summer. And you miss it when it's gone is the main theme here. And we turned it on again in the fall. It comes back, and then we turned it off again. And over the course of this roughly 1 year window, the song got 250,000 streams. And that's from a combination of, the song's own traffic from the artist's own audience, in addition to the promotion that we were running. Where the difference between the promotion on and off is most stark is if you look at the saves. So now it makes it very clear where the promotion was running and where it wasn't. So, when the song was just kind of doing its own thing under the artist's existing fan base, the song was getting very modest save numbers, maybe just a couple per day. And then there are 3 periods of time where the song was actively being promoted by our ads. From March 1st up until the end of April, there was like a quick 1 or 2 week break, I think, while the project was getting more funding. We ended up running for a couple more months there. It was sitting latent over the summer, and then we resumed later that fall to December 1st. So when you're running meta ads for a campaign that already has some decent amount of audience or traction on its own, the saves are usually where you see the most impact. And that's because the listeners that we're driving from the meta ads were already targeted because they like this music to begin with. We're already targeting fans of Lake Street Dive who are likely to engage positively with the music, and they're likely to leave a save and then repeat listen again and again. In addition, we got a pretty consistent 2.5 streams per listener across the entire year this was going, and 3,600 playlist ads. Most of those happened while the song was being promoted, as you can see here. And the majority of these playlist ads are regular average Joes like you and me who discovered the song through the ad, liked the song enough to save it, and are now repeat listening in their library. So it just goes to show that the value of the listeners you get from the meta ads are focused on the quality of the listener and their likeliness to engage and follow you as a fan versus just the sheer quantity. Playlists on the other hand, like if you're looking at commercial playlist placements from somewhere like Submit Hub, are really good for getting you a whole bunch of streams, but what are they all worth at the end of the day? Because somebody might be like driving to work or vacuuming their house while they're just hearing this playlist in the background, and your song might be one of like 100 on that playlist. The odds that that person's going to pick out your song and save it and really become a fan from that interaction are much lower versus a meta ad where we targeted the person who already likes this music and put your specific song in front of them front and center. And if I can show you guys one more piece of data that I think also speaks to that theme of the value you get of the listener off of meta ads, let's look at the time history of this artist's followers over that very same time window. So we're still looking at basically all of 2024 while the campaign was running and not. And you could see this time history at the beginning of the year. This artist was at about 1,400 followers. And by the end, we basically more than doubled that number. And that was in large part due to the promotion that we were running. And you could see during the first 2 months, that follower number is growing super slowly. It's more or less stagnant. March 1st comes around and we're promoting the song. And then there's a big steady growth in the followers while the promotion is running. We took a break over the summer and then we resumed in the fall, and then the follower growth picks up again. So the vast majority of the 1,600, 1,700 or so followers that the artist gained over the course of the year were directly attributed from the meta ads that we had run. Even after you stop promoting the song, after you stop spending money on it, you're still going to get repeat listens from people who have saved it and who have followed you, just as we're seeing on here. This campaign was an awesome opportunity to put into motion everything I've been preaching on this channel. And if you want to learn how to make campaigns like this for your own music, you're in luck. I'm super excited to announce I just published my very own music marketing course, and I know this has been very anticipated. I've distilled down all of the knowledge and things that I've learned over the 5 years of doing this professionally into what I think has to be the most comprehensive course on doing this specific type of digital music marketing for promoting music on Spotify and other streaming services. If you decide to pick up a copy of the course, you'll get access to almost 6 hours of video content basically explaining how to set up everything from start to finish. It assumes you have no knowledge or background whatsoever and brings you from ground zero up to being a hero. So it covers everything from setting up your Meta Ads Manager account from scratch, from square zero. It includes the countries that I target. It includes detailed instructions on how to set up conversion events and real data from experiments I've done on which landing page provider performs the best out of all the options out there. And best of all, it is up to date for the year 2025. So all of the information is relevant. Some of the other courses out there are old and haven't been updated in a long time. It's basically a summary of everything that I know. So if you want to get inside my brain, the course is up for sale. You can go to my website, kyletheally.com, learn more about what's in it. And if you do pick up a copy, it would really mean a lot to me and it would help support this channel. Thanks, guys. So this specific campaign was one of the higher budget projects that I've ever run, but you could still find plenty of success running a campaign with a more modest budget. As a matter of fact, most of my clients spend way less than the $7,000 that we had in ad spend for this project and still find awesome results. Thanks so much for watching, and I hope to see you guys in the next video.